Welcome to the State of Streaming podcast. In today's conversation, we're learning all about how to layer local linear sports advertising with the best of streaming TV targeting and measurement. My name is Tim Rowe, and today I'm joined by Shelley Stansfield, co-founder of Centriply, a leading tech-enabled agency who has found a sweet spot serving advertisers who want to layer live sports audiences on streaming and cable. So if that's a blind spot that you're solving for, or you want to learn more about how to activate a strategy like this, then this is the episode for you. Enjoy. You are a part of the founding team at Centriply. You've been around TV, obviously, through a big part of this evolution. So can you tell us a little bit more about the team?
Sure. Well, first of all, Centriply is a specialty media buying service and an ad tech developer. Now, we focus on audience-based linear TV. So that means we're finding the same households in the same audience segment as digital, and then we're applying it to local campaigns.
That makes sense.
By starting with highly detailed mapping at the census block level and the census track level, we can provide the detail and the reporting that is really expected of digital now all the time. So when working with big brands, it's a national level local campaign. So we find the pockets of the audience. We don't prefer any certain kind of programming. It's what that audience is looking for.
The household. So it's the impact. Humans who live in that house.
Yes, absolutely. And we've been going from everything from political, which doesn't line up anyways in any way with TV DMAs, and moving off to commercial and different niche advertisers to heavy ups for national brands that know that they have to have a certain amount of impressions beyond what their share of voice may have to be in a market to make something happen. And we can do ROI throughout the entire funnel. It can be branding, it can be performance, it can be sales, it can be all sorts of things.
How important is that? Just the simple reminder of these are TVs in houses, the household level targeting. I feel like that gets a little bit lost in the streaming app user numbers. And you're seeing, I think, right, Disney, Netflix, they're going to move away from publishing subscriber numbers and things like that. How important is the household piece of this conversation?
Well, we feel it's really important because the households don't move.
They sure don't. They don't move.
The households give you a common meeting point, not only for the people in them, but for the zip codes where certain billing numbers, where a billing address goes to, or a voter registration roll, that those households make up the zips and the counties and the voting districts, and for commercial people, for the distributor regions. It doesn't have to be a traditional TV DMA to get measured. And it can work with a business needs instead of a TV needs. So we're looking at it from how is the business affected by the number of impressions that are delivered into a measured area. And that makes it measured for everybody. So you can measure your mobile impressions, you can measure your CTV impressions, and you can measure your linear impressions all into the same area and start to understand what the impact is.
Shelley, one of the things that I really want to make sure we touch on, and you painted the picture just then of how you layer maybe against a streaming buy, the local sports buy or the local linear buy. But can we talk more specifically about how combining the two unlocks new efficiencies? Like what do you see by combining the streaming buy with the local buy? Can we maybe spend some time on that?
Yeah. So we tell clients, don't stop at just CTV or just linear. I mean, there's no reason really to pick sides. And with women's sports, you can think of that as like pristine beachfront real estate. There's high demand, low clutter, and you can stake your claim way before anybody else shows up. So
Great point.
in the environment where authentic stories flourish, the creative can really carry further because it's sitting by itself. Everybody's looking for that Super Bowl passion, but nobody wants the Super Bowl price tag. So by combining the two channels of CTV and TV, you're filling in the customer journey and meeting them wherever they are. So if you're more of a digital viewer, then you're reaching them in one place. If you're more of a traditional TV viewer, you're also getting them. And then they can really meet both types of customer. That really is an advantage.
It's an interesting way to think about it, right? It's the same event. It's just two different sets of eyeballs watching in different ways. You want to reach all of them, but to your point, I like the beach analogy there. It is when you get there early enough, you get the best spot on the beach, and you set up your blanket, and you hope that no one just like comes up. There's always that one person. They just set up right next to you. You're like, really?
Yeah, you got the acquired beach here.
That's you got the whole beach. I'll share this stat. We had this piece out on stateofstreaming.com just recently. EDO report finds streaming exclusive NFL games delivering 66% higher impact than a Super Bowl spot. So
I believe it.
Makes sense, right? And there's lots of reasons for that, but I think that is partially the buried lead is, hey, there's lots of opportunities that aren't the Super Bowl. You can create your own Super Bowl moment by showing up in a way that's meaningful in that moment.
Absolutely. There's so much personalization in sports fans,
that too.
They really want full on identity. There's a reason team colors appear in email signatures, heated debates light up on Twitter until past midnight. It's an audience that doesn't just consume, they champion.
And that creative is the opportunity, right? Show up in a way that's, don't just run your same evergreen spot that you've had running on everything. No, be thoughtful. Maybe you can find some local talent or just incorporate the team colors into the creative, to your point. I think there's lots of ways to do that.
Well, there's so many more ways now than there used to be. I mean, it's easy for us to sit here and say, oh, don't do the same old evergreen thing. But, when you finally have the opportunity to connect with, whether it's, a fan or a consumer, to be able to highlight them is going to be so much more authentic.
You know what? I like that. You can make your fans the stars of the creative. How about that? What's more grassroots?
It gets risky. The lawyers are not going to like that.
Oh, yeah. Brand safety. I forgot. This is not the brand safety podcast, though.
Right,
so
right.
You'll have to come back for that episode. Some of those fans can be unruly.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. They really get into trouble sometimes.
So good.
And you can't control them. I mean, influencers get tough.
That's true.
Tough to manage them. Lawyers will never be without something to do.
No kidding. Gainfully employed.
Oh, yes.
Digital was clean. It was, right, the internet we were building from the ground up. But TV, we're really evolving a technology that has been built into literally the infrastructure of our cities, of our communities, to now cutting the cord, streaming, and all of the challenges that come with that. Can you maybe take us back in time to when you first started seeing this evolution take place?
I'm not going to pretend that, putting this all together is fun and games. Scaling the hyper-local, multi-market combinations, it's like trying to run the same play in every stadium across the country. You quickly find out that Boston and St. Louis do not watch TV in the same way. So we've got these ever-changing carriage agreements and a jungle of rep contracts, plus everybody's got a slightly different flavor of what is a sports recap. So you multiply the complexity of organic growth of TV by 210 DMAs, and by combining each one you want to reach, each channel, each campaign objective, and then suddenly, you feel like you're chasing Hail Marys. It's fragmented, it's regional, stations vary in coverage, market rules, sales reps, upfront deals, all sorts of things are up for grabs. So one network's sports highlights can be another's weekend wrap up. So, if you like metaphors, it's like herding cats with a clipboard.
Well, that sounds fun. That, what, that would be like a sport that you saw on ESPN, the Ocho. That might actually be a sport somewhere. Maybe let's come back on a couple of things. Would love to define a few terms. You said carriage agreements. What is that for maybe a listener who hasn't heard that term before? What does that mean?
So there are stations that have media owners, and they're always looking for content. That's something that, digital people know all about. So they make agreements with different networks and different content providers, and they pay for that. And then the networks have retransmission fees that they love because here, we're making the content. We'll send it out to 5 stations over here and 2 over there. So then they make their money back on creating the content. So it's a legacy situation. Not everybody gets the same type of or amount of content in every station. So it's all different.
And this, I'm guessing it really transcends all leagues, all sports, from professional leagues down to maybe amateur or local level sports, regional sports networks. Is it all encompassing? Is it everything? Is it all of that?
Now, I think just look at the headlines. Everything from regional sports, especially during COVID, ended up getting hit really hard. I think somebody like Sinclair went and bought Bally's or created Bally's regional sport network. And that was going to be a bunch of baseball teams. Well, COVID hit like right after that deal happened, and they got creamed. Nobody could come to the stadiums. Nobody watched anything. It really changed the complexity of which teams get which licensing agreements and things like that. So it's constantly moving. And now with different sports taking on different media providers like a YouTube or Samsung or LG or whatever, each one is trying to get more and more income from all of their transmission.
And you also mentioned resellers. It would seem too, obviously, that there are different ways that the inventory then gets priced and packaged, and who has access to which sales rights on which of the, it all can become, it makes sense that this is hard.
And if you look, each of the 210 markets has probably 10 stations and cable systems. And now with all sorts of CTV and streamers, you've got a huge amount of options, and the carriage agreements and the rep contracts just start getting so convoluted. It's really hard to figure out who has what. So,
coming from the out-of-home industry, the billboard world, we talked about fragmentation there. This is like fragmentation on a whole different level. And it's fragmentation that everyone wants a part of. Everyone wants to advertise against sports, and especially live sports. So that challenge then becomes a little bit more technical. We were talking last time in kind of preparation for this conversation. You'd mentioned just the way that the inventory even gets submitted to be bought is a little bit outdated, is maybe a fair way to phrase it.
Well, there are definitely different stages of advancement, you know.
Very, very nicely stated. I like that. Stages. That's better than my outdated stages of advancement. We like that.
Well, how how they do contracts, how they send logs out, what are the invoices. It makes how you receive all of the inventory into your application even more difficult. So is it an XML? Is it a SCX? Is it HTML? What format is this thing coming? Is it still in a fax?
Get out of town. No. Hang on. We just for the record, this is 2025 that we're recording this, and you're saying that there's still data being transmitted via fax.
Occasionally.
I mean, just the fact that occasionally, like the fact that it is a non-zero number is staggering. But
I know.
Okay, so you've got 210 local markets times 10 stations is more than 2,000 different partners. And then you have different file formats. And then I'm guessing that the data inside the file itself, format aside, that could be structured differently too.
Right. And it doesn't always play nice together. See what I did there?
Awesome. I like that.
Yeah. The naming conventions, aren't inconsistent, that they can be outright bewildering. One station's prime time slot could be labeled 3 different ways, depending on who input from the station. So
a human.
Well, yes, exactly.
Who we appreciate them putting it in, but it is still prone to human subjectivity, error, what have you. An added space in the file.
Yes, absolutely. So the simple act of just filtering what they send can be so confusing. So we had to figure out how to standardize across all of these applications, things like Media Ocean and Wide Orbit and the traffic systems, so that it's starting to get better. And rearranging the spots shouldn't be something that the stations have to do to meet a buyer spec. So to give it all of the tools that we have for other applications, we've now streamlined it into a way to pull it in, standardize, and hit a button so it meets the spec. And it takes a couple minutes to go through 70,000 lines of inventory to make the parameters that you wanted and you asked for to begin with. So that we're getting there. We're definitely getting there.
Sounds like progress being made, and certainly part of that organic evolution. Like it really is so many times just who can figure out how to make the spreadsheet make sense to another spreadsheet. And if those things can all connect, then we can all do more of the things we want to do. That thing being advertised on local sports. Do you have a sense then of like, I don't even know if there'd be a good way to kind of imagine the universe of what's available and the universe of what's actually being like activated? Do you have a sense, like, is there a ton of opportunity there?
I wish you asked me that question before, because I have a great chart.
That I love charts right now. You know what? Send us the chart, and we'll release it with this conversation.
Okay.
We'd love to share that.
There's a great chart that shows all of the impressions by sports, by quarter, by week, or we can do it by month, because we need to know exactly how many pieces of inventory are available. So you've got the program, and then you've got the breaks, so is the break a 60-second break? Is it a 30-second break? Is it a 15? And now with all these overlays that are available on TV, on broadcasters, you can split the screen, and then there's things that are going, either ads or stats or pop outs or whatever on the screen. So those are available too a lot of times. So you can manage all sorts of opportunities to get different eyeballs and different impressions.
And am I buying this on a guaranteed basis? Is this programmatic? Is it on a PMP? Like what is the structure?
What we do, we call it advanced TV, and it's a combination of linear impressions. They are guaranteed. It's considered a guaranteed kind of private marketplace. It has a lot of the same abilities of programmatic, but we don't sit on the programmatic platform at the moment. The CTV sellers often will layer, especially like with fast channels, depending on what you're looking for, they'll layer with the fast channels or a content deal specifically for a certain league. Like, maybe it's the baseball or it's volleyball or it's college sports. So it has a lot of the applications of programmatic, but we are not currently in a programmatic platform. So it's a
Makes
little
sense.
on the side, but we take all of our reporting and can match it up to a programmatic format because the detail and the performance for us is what's really important. So you get the scale of local linear that can then be combined with the audiences of programmatic and the parameters of programmatic.
Sounds like you're sitting right in that middle part of that organic evolution. That's the piece that you really need to then do the next part, which is buy it in an automated way where I'm buying across multiple markets and packaging deals together. So thank you for doing this part and figuring it out for us and getting us this close. Some stats: the US Open posted record numbers, 3 million streaming viewers on the men's final, 2.4 million on the women's final. How big of an opportunity is women's sports? I feel like that's not getting enough attention.
Well, it's becoming the main event, that's for sure. It's an emotional investment. The audiences don't want to just watch. They want to champion the athlete.
Yeah,
they want to cheer. They want to mobilize. They want to get behind something. It's not just good PR for a brand. It's an authentic alignment many times with values that today's consumers are looking for. They're looking for inclusion and progress and empowerment. And it shows up both on and off the field now with all of the coverage that the athletes are getting. And if you get into the data, the proof is everywhere. The women's sports fans don't just passively tune in. They're vocal, they're active, they're engaged, they're advocates. They're proud to align with the brands that support their leagues and their players. That kind of authentic passion quickly transforms to brand loyalty, turning a casual sponsor into a household name.
Caitlin Clark being a great example of that, right?
Exactly.
No, I don't know. I did not know that many Iowa basketball fans, but there are a whole lot of Caitlin Clark fans now.
Oh my gosh.
And it's exactly to that. And it's almost a hybrid of like the kind of the creator economy merged with sports, but to your point, with something deeper tying it all together. I think that's a powerful way for us to think about it.
Well, a lot of times the message just doesn't stop at halftime or when the broadcast is over. There is something about it echoing through the communities and the online chats and the family rooms, way beyond the final whistle.
Yeah, absolutely. Shelley, that is a walk-off in the ways to end it category. Thank you. If folks want to connect with you on socials, if they want to learn more about what you do at Centriply, give them the lat long, give them the household address, if you will. Where should they find you?
Reach out on LinkedIn. I'll supply definitely some contact information that you guys can publish.
Easy enough. We will keep it close. It'll be close by to this conversation. It will not be hard to find Shelley.
Well, thanks, man. It's been delightful.
Big piece of the kickoff conversation to the State of Streaming podcast. So thank you for being a part of it. We will make sure to publish this, tag you everywhere. And if you found this conversation to be helpful, we encourage you to share it with a colleague or a client. Start a conversation today. And wherever you're listening, make sure to smash that subscribe button, like, comment, follow, do all those things that help the podcast grow. We'll see y'all.
Yeah, reach out. We're here.
Absolutely. See you next time.